Support for Musicology comes from the College of Arts and Letters at Cal State San Bernardino, an Inland Empire hub for the arts and humanities, and home to the Robert and Frances Fullerton Museum of Art, featuring artwork by Andy Warhol and Dennis Hopper, and Coyote Radio, playing local bands 24/7. The College of Arts and Letters at Cal State San Bernardino. Learn more at cal.csusb.edu.
Sit back, relax, and close your eyes.
Hey there, music fans. My name's Manel Michelle, your host of Musicology, and you are watching the Musicology Show, where we bring you up-and-coming bands, emerging talent, and on today's show, we have Sophia Bollman and the Sophia Bollman Band. You don't want to miss it, so keep it locked right here on Musicology.
Me disappear, I'm giving in to your enchantment, even if it's all an illusion. I don't know what you did, why does it feel different, but I'm curious. For others it's been impossible. It's so wicked how you thrill me, how you get me, wanna feel it again. Wind blowing in my hair, underneath your spell, like a baby. I'm amazed by your magic. Oh, magic.
What is music? Originally consisting of whatever was popular music at the time, pop music has grown into its own ever-evolving genre. It began in the age of rock and roll. In the 50s, the music of the previous decades, including swing music and crooning vocals, was being replaced. Rock was growing, and at the same time as it did, the beginning of true pop music was growing too, out of the creations of producer Mitch Miller. Miller worked at the most successful label of the time, Columbia Records, and he was working with the label's biggest artists to create a sound that was not confined to one simple genre. He was combining country, blues, and folk music with the mainstream rock sounds that everyone was listening to. And the result was something that took the focus away from the large, sweeping orchestras of the previous decades and placed it on the emotion of the music, evident in the sounds of artists like Johnny Ray, Frankie Lane, and Guy Mitchell, all of whom worked with Mitch Miller. This decade was also one of celebration for Elvis Presley, who came around in 1953 and whose songs like Hound Dog were some of the most loved at the time. Through its beginning, pop had been characterized by its largely teen fan base. And in the 60s, when the portable radio was introduced, it became even easier for teens to take their tunes wherever they wanted. Pop was traveling and picking up influences. From the beaches of California, bands like the Beach Boys were taking the harmonies from traditional pop songs and layering them with the surf rock rhythm that they became known for. But the true driving force of pop in the 60s came from across the Atlantic, with Beatlemania and the British invasion into the American charts. The British invasion brought rock and pop music and bands to the US, where they became wildly popular. The Beatles were among these acts, and their mix of beat, rock, and pop ballads immediately took over American pop charts. Through all of this, the pop genre was forming into something not solely defined by the American solo pop artists of the previous decade. Now, bands were introduced into the fray, and pop was splitting into subgenres that included bubblegum pop, defined by its upbeat sound and its direct aim at teen audiences, and Baroque pop, which blended pop and rock and Baroque music together. Those subgenres of pop began towards the end of the 60s, but died out in the 70s. In their place came the subgenre of power pop, a mix of punk rock and pop, defined by bands like The Romantics and Cheap Trick. Towards the end of the first decade of the 2000s, pop was again being influenced with hip-hop and R&B sounds through Rihanna's music, and electric sounds made themselves known in Lady Gaga's sounds from her album Poker Face, which went on to win 2 Grammys. Pop music had become an electric melting pot of subgenres and sounds that all share the common tropes of a pop song. Pop has become so much more than a catchy melody and repeated verses. It's a representation of the way music and musical trends have evolved throughout the years, gathering up sounds that shouldn't have worked together, but did, and did so in a way that was immensely loved. Today, pop music is as diverse and rich as it is because of the influences on its evolution. Pop is a complicated and wondrous genre of music where the possibilities feel endless, and the sounds feel like all of your favorites coming home to play. Hope you enjoyed this segment of What is Music?
Oh, church, I never seen a fight like me. So hard I'll bring the men to their knees. Hell hath no fury like a young girl's heart. The revenge is best served sweet. 'Cause come and don't give a damn about me. Angels are searching, but I'll never get caught. You can see my heart through those stained glass windows. It's so one-sided mirror. Those stained glass windows, your love disappears. Take me and shut me out. Let it cover up your doubt. No preacher man can save you from yourself. Oh, save you from this hell. Oh, demons whisper the ideas in my mind, and they're telling me the truth is unkind. I'm going blind. Gold roads are made for the vain. Let's travel this bill for the sane. I gotta run because I know I can't hide. You can see my heart through those stained glass windows. It's a one-sided mirror. Those stained glass windows are your love disappears. Just take me and shut me out. Try to cover up your doubt. No preaching man can save you from yourself. Oh, save you from this hell. Save you from this hell. Praying, pray, but you won't go away. 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 I pray and pray, but you won't go away. I pray and pray, but you won't go away. Those stained glass windows, it's a one-sided mirror. Those stained glass windows are in love disappears. Just take me and shut me out. Lie to cover up your doubt. No preaching that can save you from yourself. Oh, save you from this hell. Save you from this hell.
This is Indiana Rob with the Zappified Musicology History Tidbit. Watch out where those huskies go. Don't you eat that yellow snow.
It's Musicology.
Dreamed I was an Eskimo. Frozen wind began to blow, and she said, with a tear in her eye, watch out where the huskies go, and don't you eat that yellow snow. Watch out where the huskies go, and don't you eat that yellow snow.
Born Frank Vincent Zappa in Baltimore, Maryland in 1940, in the 1950s he moved to Claremont, California. After bouncing around California, he eventually ended up in Lancaster, California, where he graduated from Antelope Valley High School. Zappa excelled in high school creating performance pieces for the orchestra, which ended up influencing his wide range of musical subjects and different compositional styles. In this area in the 1960s, Zappa started writing and producing songs for himself and his friends at PAL Recording Studio. In 1964, Frank Zappa bought the studio from Paul Buff and renamed it Studio Z. This is all that's left of the original buildings here at 8040 Archibald. Unfortunately, the original building here at 8040 Archibald was demolished after a fire, but by golly, the musical history will not be forgotten. In 1965, Zappa was crowned the movie king of Cucamonga, giving the local police the impression that he could be producing pornography. So in March of that year, an undercover vice cop came up to Zappa and offered him $100 to produce an audio porn for a stag party. So later on that night, Zappa and a girlfriend squeaked on the bed, moaned and groaned, and acted out this audio porn, which later had to be edited because of all the hysterical laughing. Holy sharkopotamus! Zappa spent 10 days in the San Bernardino County Jail, which helped ferment his anti-authoritarian mentality for his entire life. Frank is quoted as saying, "You can't appreciate what a jail is and what goes on there unless someone sticks you in one," Zappa said. In a way, I guess I have to thank Detective Willis and the evil machinery of the San Bernardino legal system for giving me a chance to see from that perspective what the penal system is like in this country and how ineffectual and how stupid it is. Zappa was inspired to write the song San Bernardino and streets of Fontana from his experiences right here locally. And he even played San Bernardino's famous Swing Auditorium in 1980. Solo and with his band Mothers of Invention, Zappa produced 62 full-length albums. And after he passed, 48 more were released. Zappa died in 1993 due to prostate cancer. He'll always be known for never conforming, just like when he named his kids Moon Unit and Dweezil. Come on, let's go down to San Bernardino. His name is Bobby, he looks like a potato. And that's the Zappified Musicology History Tidbit!
His name is Bobby, he looks like a potato. He got sour and drunk at the Palomino. They give him 30 days in San Bernardino.
Oh, street lights along the highway, throwing shadows in the dark. And the memory keeps on turning to the rhythm of a broken heart. Oh, you only need a room when it's raining. You only need a phone when it's cold. You only need a drink when the whiskey is the only thing that you got left to hold. Sun comes up and goes back down. Finally feels like flying till you hit the ground. Say the word and I'll be there for you. Baby, I would be your parachute. There's a song that I remember I've never learned to play, and a lifetime of forgotten words I've never got to say. Oh, you only need a roof when it's raining. You only need a fire when it's cold. You only need a drink when the whiskey is the only thing that you got left to hold. Sun comes up and goes back down. Finally feels like flying till you hit the ground. Say the word and I'll be there for you. Baby, I would be your parachute. If you think you're going down, just know I will be oh, you only need a roof when it's raining. You only need a fire when it's cold. You only need a drink when the whiskey is the only thing that you got left to hold. Sun comes up and goes back down.
So, what is music? Rock music is a broad genre of popular music that originated as rock and roll in the United States in the early 1950s. It developed into a range of different styles in the 1960s, in particular in the United Kingdom and the United States. It has its roots in 1940s and 1950s rock and roll, a style which drew heavily on the African American genres of blues and rhythm and blues and from country music. Rock music also drew strongly on a number of other genres, such as electric blues and folk, and incorporated influences from jazz, classical, and other music styles. Musically, rock has centered on the electric guitar, with electric bass and drums, and one or more singers. Typically, rock is in a 4x4 time signature using a verse-chorus form, but the genre has become extremely diverse. By the late 1960s, classic rock and a number of distinct rock music subgenres had emerged, including hybrids like blues rock, folk rock, country rock, and jazz rock. All of these new subgenres contributed to the development of psychedelic rock, which was influenced by the countercultural psychedelic and hippie scene. New genres that emerged included progressive rock, which extended the artistic elements, glam rock, which highlighted showmanship and visual style, and the enduring subgenre of heavy metal, which emphasized volume, power, and speed. In the second half of the 1970s, punk rock reacted by producing stripped-down, energetic social and political critiques. Punk was an influence in the 1980s on new wave, post-punk, and eventually alternative rock. In the 1990s, alternative rock began to dominate rock music and break into the mainstream in the form of grunge, Britpop, and indie rock. Rock music also served as the vehicle for cultural and social improvements, leading to major subcultures including mods and rockers in the UK. The American hippie counterculture of the 1960s began in San Francisco, California. The 1970s punk culture spawned the goth and emo subcultures. That inherited the folk tradition of the protest song. Rock music has been associated with political activism as well as changes to social attitudes to race, sex, and drug use, and is often seen as an expression of youth revolt against adult consumerism and conformity. Hope you enjoyed this segment of What is Music?
When did your heart go missing? When did your faith in us die? When did your words grow empty? And everything you said became a lie. Oh, I wouldn't want to burden your mouth with something as unfamiliar as the truth. But a simple explanation could give me motivation to turn around and say to you, the distance in this world isn't distance enough from you. And there's no bridge you haven't burned on your shortcut straight to hell. When you tell the devil when you see his face, all the lies you tell to me, even left the angels turn. Now we'll watch, baby, you will burn. You will burn up, like a tumbleweed in the Arizona winter, moth right into the flame. You're a kamikaze pilot, the second ride's made it so easy for you to hurt when you can't feel pain. All the distance in this world isn't distance enough from you. There's no bridge you haven't burned on your shortcut straight to hell. When you tell the devil when you see his face, all the lies you tell to me,
I'm your host, Manel Michelle, and you've watched another amazing episode of Musicology. If you think you've got what it takes to be on the show right here with me, then submit your music to www.musicologyie.com. And who knows, you just might be the next guest right here on this stage with me. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm a fun-sized, like those fun-sized Snickers. That's me. Got a little caramel, a little brown, a peanut, because I'm a little nutty.
Just so you know.
You're like, nah, dude, you're just full of peanuts. You're the crazy pollo lady.
You're a payday, that's for sure.